Hey, and we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to Stu and Keira Star Trek Sunday with
Me, Kira C. Georgeson, and
me, Stu Jackson. And hello, Captain Quinn, in the chat there with 3 deltas on your shirt. Cochrane medal still gleaming. Love it, love it, love it. And Ed, one eye on the skies over New Mexico. Ooh, interesting, interesting. Virgin Galactic commercial space stuff, apparently, over New Mexico at the moment, where Area 51 is. Ooh, intriguing, intriguing. So, we've got an exciting episode, haven't we, Keira, today?
yes, we are. I quite enjoyed this episode. Very exciting. Do you want to tell everyone about
Yes,
it?
we will. But before we do, how's your week been?
My week's been quite good actually. I've been training really hard at Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and had a really, really good session with the leader of our school. And I learned more from him in this like little 2 to 5 minutes than I have in any of my full hour and a half classes. Like it was just. So if anyone does martial arts, always try and train with a black belt because they'll teach you more in 30 seconds than anyone can teach you in like 30 minutes. Oh,
Excellent. I think that's good advice for life, though, is if you're going to learn something, learn from people who know the most.
yeah, exactly. Oh my God, it's common sense, isn't it?
It's now. Well, no, it's easy to go to someone who knows more than we do, and we assume that they know lots more than we do, even if they only know a little bit more than we do. And
Yeah.
if they
But
know more than
yeah,
we do, then there's something to be learned.
it's very true. Yeah.
I don't
He,
know.
he was
There's
also
probably a
the one
metaphor
who,
in there.
yeah, definitely. This is also the guy who I think I mentioned him last week actually, who said, you never survive a conversation because the old you dies because the new you is born every time you absorb a conversation. So
I,
yeah, it's
I,
him.
do you know what I thought about that after last week's show? And I agree. It's very similar to a philosophy that I've had most of my life, but I find that quite a bleak outlook. That the old you dies. I prefer to think that we, as human beings, physically, mentally, spiritually, experientially, we are in a constant state of flux. We are constantly evolving, growing, developing, change. Well, the one thing that stays the same throughout the universe is that everything changes.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a clever little witticism there, but it's absolutely true. And we as human beings are constantly changing. Yes, we are not the same person as we were a day ago, a week ago, an hour ago, but I just think we're improving on ourselves. We're building on ourselves. We're fluctuating rather than dying.
Speak for yourself, Stu. I've not improved since 2015.
Have you not? Is that when you hit peak Kira?
Yeah, it's all been downhill from there.
I mean, yeah, I say this. I'd love to go back to the 90s. 90s were my
Oh,
era.
so would
It was,
I. Let's go back to 1991.
yeah, absolutely. 1991. Let's see. Oh no, I'd go for mid 90s.
Oh, okay. Just make sure
Mid
it's before
90s. Yeah.
94, so I'm not born yet and I don't have to do anything.
No, I was 22 in 95. You see.
Oh,
So that's what I'm saying. Going back to the 90s, like, and the age I was then.
that's
If we
cool.
went back to 1991, that would be you'd be
I wouldn't exist yet, which is what I
not
mean, because
born.
I'm really tired today and I don't feel like doing anything. So if you take a trip back to 91, I don't even have to be there. I go sleep.
Lazy day in the ether. Oh
Yeah.
dear. Oh no, mid 90s. I had a hairline. I had a waistline. I had energy. I was drunk for the 90s.
just for the whole decade.
Do you know what? There's more truth in that joke than I should probably admit. But yes, let's get back onto the show then.
Okey-dokey.
I embarrass myself too much. So in today's episode, speaking of things fluctuating and changing, do you know what? I didn't even realise I was setting up a segue there. We are looking at the original series episode Metamorphosis.
Ooh, and then after that, we'll be doing a deep dive on how warp drive works.
So excited by that. I love technology in Star Trek. We will be paying a visit, of course, to the Divine Treasury and coming back to what we did in the very, very early days, an unboxing.
Yeah! Very exciting. And then we'll be finishing off with the latest Star Trek news.
Fantastic. Do you know what, though? I realised a thing after last week's episode. Last week was the 6-month episode, because it was episode 21, and there's 52 weeks in a year, so 6 months.
Wow.
6 months.
That's cool.
Wow. We've been doing this a long time now.
You have?
Oh, you came on earlier than you might think.
Did
It's
I?
still single digits, yeah. Yeah. So you've been co-hosting longer than you weren't co-hosting.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're a feature now.
I'm a feature.
You're kind of you're fundamental part of the show.
Oh, I love that.
There we go.
Irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
Don't get any ideas.
Brilliant.
Oh,
So, moving on then, let's talk about the original series Metamorphosis episode, which first aired on the 10th of November 1967.
And in this episode, the Enterprise shuttlecraft carrying Kirk, Spock, Dr. McCoy, and critically ill Federation Ambassador Nancy Hedford encounters a mysterious energy cloud, which pulls them down to planet Gamma Canaris, N, North. There they
Gamma
meet.
Canaris N.
Okay, I was like, what? There they meet a castaway, a young man who purports to be Zephram Cochrane, who we mentioned last week, inventor of the warp drive over 100 years ago. In history, he had lived to be 80 years of age before disappearing somewhere in space. Apparently, the same energy cloud which brought the shuttlecraft to the planet also found and rejuvenated Cochrane, making him effectively immortal. Unless Kirk can get themselves released soon, the ambassador, without vital medical treatment, will die.
Oh, so before we get in about the episode, I didn't put this in our list today, but we need to talk about the bingo. Showing my notes already.
Bingo, and same as last week, I forgot to do it while I was watching the episode. So I did it before we went live when I was trying to remember everything that happened. So I am going to discount myself and just assume that Stu's won this one.
Well, we will see on that, because I've got a couple of questionable choices in there I've taken a bit of a punt on. I'd be keen to hear if anyone watching joined in on the bingo and how to go on this episode as well. If so, let us know what your scores are. But in the meantime, what score did you get, Keira?
I think I got 4.
4? 4's pretty respectable for this episode, because I only got 7.
But one of mine is, I actually can't remember if they said this, but they should have.
Okay.
Should we go down like we did last week? Start with the top row and go down.
Yes, absolutely. So what's your first one then?
The first one, I know that you've got this one as well, is Technobabble.
Yes. There's barely, and the police are coming to take me away. there's barely an episode that doesn't have technobabble. I can't think of one that doesn't.
No, they all do, and I'm sure that Star Trek employs specific like writers who are also scientists to put technobabble in. I remember watching something somewhere where they will highlight a bit of the script which needs to be technobabble, and they'll give the script with these highlighted bits in to someone who is a scientist, and they fill it in with sciencey sounding words.
Yes, indeed. And Captain Quinn talks a lot about Dr. Erin, who runs a Twitch stream from 6 p.m. On Sundays most weeks, who is a scientific advisor for Star Trek.
There you go.
So, yeah, really, really good. Okay, so that's one. My score, by the way, was 7, so it's not much more than yours. And I'm going to confess, I did watch it twice because I actually watched it last Sunday evening, and did the bingo. Then I lost the sheet. So I watched it again 2 days ago and did the sheet again. So yeah, I do have a bit of an advantage over you this week. Do you have any more from the top line?
Yeah, so I couldn't remember if while the shuttlecraft was getting pulled down, did they call a red alert? I literally forgot that whole scene.
Oh, Kira, no, they didn't.
Okay.
There was no red alert in the shuttle.
That was my dubious one. Okay, so my score is probably 3 then.
3. Okay. Do you have any more from the top line?
No.
Okay. Now, one of my dubious ones is particle causes problem. Now, the reason I've picked this is that when they get pulled down onto the surface of this planetoid, there is something stopping the engines from working, stopping the shuttle from gaining power. So, makes sense to me that that's a particle of some description.
But wasn't it the companion which did that?
It was the entity that caused it, but I mean, it's a dubious one. That it is a dubious. They didn't specify it's a particular particle, so I'm happy to take that as a no. I
don't think they did say
okay.
Any particles, but why don't we ask people in the chat what they think, and they can vote if you get to have it or not.
Yes, absolutely. And I have another one from the top line. Space anomaly, which is when we first encounter the entity, the companion, they appear as a space anomaly.
That's true. They do look. They look like they could be a space anomaly.
I mean, I suppose that might be a dubious one as well, but they encounter an anomaly in space, which later turns out to be the companion. That's my.
I thought about this too. I did actually. So I'm not sure what to say because I think they could perceive it as that, but was it actually that?
Oh, Captain Quinn has said it was described as an anomaly. So, yeah, there we go.
I guess you get that one then.
Okay. Anything from the second row?
Well, I considered a couple of them, but I haven't actually checked any off.
Oh, what did you consider?
Okay, so I considered aliens a metaphor for human issues because they talk a lot about love and how you can't be human unless you experience love, and you can't experience love unless you're human and stuff like that. So I thought that might be a vague metaphor for human issues, but I didn't check it off because there wasn't something solid that I could pin it down to.
Okay, interesting. What was your other one that you considered from the second row?
The other one was genes work like magic, because it's like when the companion just goes straight into the ambassador and all of a sudden their bodies are combined and it works. I was like, well, how do we how do we know that human genes would do that and they could both exist inside a human body? But they never say it's anything to do with the genes, so I didn't mention.
Yeah, I didn't have genes work like magic, because if you get cured of an illness, it's not necessarily genes doing the curing, is it? So that's kind of how I saw it. I mean, it might be, you might be able to argue particle fixes problem. The particles of the companion fixed.
Yeah, you could say that.
But yeah, so I'm going to come back to the aliens are a metaphor for human issues. So I have that one as one of mine.
Okay.
But for a different reason. Looking at Cochrane's reaction when he finds out kind of about the companion's intent and the companion's nature and all the rest of it, he reacts quite abhorrently.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's disgusting. I actually perceived this, and I might be wrong, I might be reading more into it than there is, but I perceived this as interracial relationships. Going back to the 60s and the issues at the time that people had over such things.
Yeah.
And the reactions. That was very much how I saw that. So yeah, I saw the companion as being an issue for interracial relationships.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's quite a good
prejudice.
And that is a very tricky thing to do. They do like to do a lot of physical allegories.
I mean, if that's right, then actually that would have been a more subtle one for the original series than what they normally did. Let's not forget the whole black and white aliens down the middle. Yes, but they're black on the right side of their faces. They're therefore terrible people. They weren't very subtle normally. So perhaps it was an unintentional one, but yeah, that was how I perceived it. Anything from the middle row?
Again, nearly one, but I didn't confirm it myself. So I was along the lines of the human issues. I thought American culture is human culture because they're only really comparing their experiences to like the Western idea of relationships and love and applying that to all humanity. But it was quite loose, so I didn't.
I see where you're coming from. I'm trying to think if they talk about it, being monogamous or. I mean, they don't mention marriage. They don't mention monogamy at all, in fact.
No.
I'm trying to think how else it might be kind of non-American, non-Western.
Well, the bit where this is how my mind works. So the bit where they tell Zephyrim that the entity is female, because he asks how did you make that voice come out female, and they were like, oh, we didn't. That's how it chose to sound, so it must be female. And he was like, what? He was like disgusted. I thought that it was because he thought the entity was male and he wanted to be in a relationship with a man. And I was like, oh my God, he wants it to be a man. He only loves men. And then they were like, and then it was just that he was disgusted that it loved him at all and not to do with its gender. I was like, oh yeah, this was in the 60s, Keira. We wouldn't have done that then. And then I was like, oh, so he's, it could have been seen that it, yeah, I guess the sort of the distaste about that kind of relationship seems quite a lot like American culture to me.
I can see where you're coming from. I can certainly see where you're coming from on it. I mean, wouldn't it have been fun though if the companion had been male and they'd have had the same issue?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been great. But like you say, it was the 60s. They were never going to do that back then. I had one from the middle. Well, no, I didn't. In the end, I chose not to tick it. But I had one almost, which was expendable crew member.
Yeah. Why did you think about that one?
Well, I mean, presumably we're talking about Nancy here.
Right.
As being expendable because she had to effectively merge with the companion, thereby creating a new entity.
Yeah.
That was how I was perceiving that. Ultimately, I didn't pick it because she's not a crew member.
Yeah, I would have challenged you on that.
Rightly so.
But yeah, to be fair, it was kind of sacrificed, and all of that work she was going to do is stopping the war. At the end, they even mention it at the end. Kirk was like, "Oh, they'll find some other woman to stop the war."
I know, and yeah. I mean,
definitely expendable.
Do you know what? These things can be really cringy to watch back and get. I mean, certainly the whole kind of the way that Nancy is perceived and dealt with as, you know, the little woman kind of thing. It is really, really cringy to watch. But here's where I get. A few years ago, people started talking about To Kill a Mockingbird and the inherent problems within it about the white saviour and what have you. But I think it's also really important to look at these things in context of how progressive it was at the time. And without that progression, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are now, where we can look back at it and say, actually, it's now problematic. So, like the whole To Kill a Mockingbird thing, when people started like basically shitting all over it, I got quite defensive of it. Not defensive by today's standards, but defensive for it in its context. And I think we've got to look at Star Trek in exactly the same way. Even The Next Generation, you know, that's like 30 years plus. Oh God, that's hard for me to say. But do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was easy to see.
I think that's been happening a lot recently, and it's where people, and it's often young people, who take something out of the context in which it originated, and look at it from today's perspective, and then slate it. And I'm just, it frustrates me because when we study history, we study things in the context of that time period. When we watch an old film like Casablanca, we're watching it in the context of when that film was made. And if you take something else out of context, then you don't have the experience that they have, and you will never understand what it was like to live at that time. And I think people make that mistake quite a lot at the moment, and you know, slate things from the past and trash things because they're a little bit problematic by today's standards. But we can't hold everything to the standards that we have now. It just doesn't make any sense.
I think it's good to look back at things and say, by today's standards, this is problematic. I don't have a problem in that kind of analysis because it shows how far we've come. And that's fantastic. Yeah. That's brilliant. It can also show how far we have to go as well, if we really analyse on quite a deep level. But yeah, it's when you look at it and say, well, it is shit, or it was always shit. No, it of its time. Yeah. Anyway, we've digressed. If people do that drinking game. Yeah.
I don't know why my drink was so small then. I don't ever drink drinks this tiny. I have a big drink. Thank you.
And as Captain Quinn says, it's been confirmed that Garrick was gay. Robinson and Bear said so. but they wouldn't say at the time. But it is, looking back, very plainly obvious.
Oh God, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, he was so in love with Cheer. So in love.
That scene when they first meet, there's a brilliant video going round on Twitter. It's got the music from the Wii, the console, not people.
Oh yeah.
But it's got the music from that on it, and it's got like all these words flashing up, like the subtext. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, moving back onto our bingo. So the fourth line, anything from that?
Yes. Human gets frisky with alien.
Yes.
Because they definitely are going to stay on that planet and do the do. You know they are.
Oh, that's how you're taking. Okay. I took the whole symbiosis thing between the companion in Energy State and Cochrane.
Okay, well, yeah, that too, yeah. They were always a bit like, woohoo.
But yes, that's definitely a big tick. Human gets frisky with alien. Fantastic. And this time it's not Kirk.
Well done, Kirk. You had a week off.
Oh, fantastic. And the fifth and final line.
Well, I did have one, but actually I'm thinking I might have two.
What's the first one you've got on the line?
The one I definitely had was energy beings, because, you know, this thing is literally a ball of electricity.
Yeah.
How many do you have on this line?
I've got two.
Okay, well, the other one I think I have is over-explanation. What about you? Yeah.
That's another one a bit like Technobabble that I think is going to be in most episodes.
Yeah. And also, and not just the sciencey stuff, but at the end when Cochrane is like talking about staying and how much he loves her, I was literally like, okay, we heard you the first time. We know you love her. You can shut up now. That's too much.
Subtext wasn't a big thing back in the 60s.
No, clearly not.
No, it really, really wasn't. I mean, you're not looking that many years after things like vaudeville on stage as a common form of entertainment.
No.
So, yeah. We've evolved. We evolve. Our media evolves. But yes, no Jeffrey Combs or Vaughan Armstrong in this one.
No.
No, you're not going to get much of that in the original series, are you?
Damn it.
Yeah. So, yeah, if we remove my particle causes problems, I got 6. How many did you get in the end?
4. Because I added that over explanation one at the end. But I said it before you said it, so I think I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah, you're allowed to include that, absolutely. Like you said, you'd thought about it. And, do you know what? I mean, I trust you to be honest about these things, because it's only a bit of fun. At least it's only a bit of fun for us. For the viewers, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Because we're running that competition.
Oh, yes!
Yes.
Oh, my God, how did I forget about that? Oh, my God. Refresh our memories about this competition.
So, for anybody who wishes to enter, all you have to do is get a copy of the bingo sheet from the Discord, or you can message us and we'll send it to you direct. And if you can find an episode anywhere in Star Trek, should we include the movies as well?
No.
Okay, harsh.
Yeah, but I think the movies, you can fit more into a movie, and that might make it too easy.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've still only got single digits on both our episodes so far, but yeah, okay. So any of the series episodes, if you can come up with a score of, did we say 60 or 65?
I can't remember.
Let's say 60. If you can come up with a score of 60 for any single episode, You get 1 point for each square you tick. You get an extra 5 points for any horizontal, vertical or diagonal line of 5 as well. So there's a total of 85 points available in total if you were to tick every box. So yeah, if you can get a score of 60, send it to us. Send the timestamp for each of the boxes so we can double check it, and if we agree with you, if it's right, then you get to win a t-shirt. Yay! That we haven't designed yet.
No, we were gonna do our own, each do a design, weren't we, and get people to vote or something on the best
yes I haven't done that.
I've had an idea for what I want to do, but I haven't done it yet.
Ooh, interesting. Yes, I need to do that. I forgot. If I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, we don't even know if there is an episode that will hit 60 points. Maybe there isn't.
We'll find out soon.
Maybe in time we'll have to just lower the score until we get a winner. We will see. Shall we do... Yeah, about 3 deltas, says Captain Quinn. Prob's a bit overkill. Probably. Also, not a football fan myself. But I know people will be watching tonight, no doubt. Should we do some trivia?
Yes, let's trivialise this episode.
So, this is the only episode in the first 2 seasons of the original series in which Captain Kirk is not on the Enterprise at any time during the entire plot. Likewise, the Enterprise itself does not appear until 27 minutes into the episode. In 4 third season shows, however, Kirk also spends the entire episode off ship. The Paradise Syndrome, Plato's Stepchildren, Whom Gods Destroy, and All Our Yesterdays. But in the first and second season, this was the only one.
I wonder why that is.
I've no idea.
I wonder if it's something to do with the cost of set building. Maybe in the first season they couldn't construct sets for a longer period of time or something, because I know they had to have quite a quick turnaround with these things.
They did. If they only had the soundstage for so long, could be.
And maybe by the third season they were able to have them for a bit longer, so they could do more of them off the Enterprise. Because I imagine the Enterprise would have been like a permanent fixture in their sets, and the rest of them were like added on.
Yeah, quite possibly. Or maybe it just didn't occur to them. Because, Star Trek's like a spaceship show.
Yes.
And no, Captain Quinn, Jeffrey Combs does not play the Enterprise. No, you can't have that one.
No, he would be a great Enterprise, though, let's be real.
He would. Jeffrey Combs is just brilliant. Everything he plays.
I love
The
him.
Frighteners. You need to watch The Frighteners, Keira.
Okay. I'll add it to my ever-growing list.
Peter Jackson. It's brilliant.
Okay, I said okay.
Watch it now! We'll suspend the stream, you go watch it, and then come back to... No, I'm joking.
All right, see you in a couple of hours, everyone. Anyway, this is the first story to feature Zephram Cochrane, inventor of warp drive technology and an important figure in Federation history. He would later reappear in First Contact and Enterprise Broken Bow, played by James Cromwell. So there you go.
Indeed. When Kirk asks Cochrane for his first name, he replies, Zephram. Kirk then asks him if he's from Alpha Centauri and the inventor of the space warp, as it was called back then. Cochrane then confirms he is, yet in the movie First Contact, Zephram Cochrane is from Earth. However, having invented the warp drive, it's conceivable that he went then to Alpha Centauri and took up residence, and it's possible that he left to die in space from there. Therefore, he could be described as being from Alpha Centauri. A bit like I might say I'm from High Wycombe.
Oh, yeah. And when people ask me, I tell them I'm from Bristol because that's an upgrade.
How dare you? Swindon's brilliant, and Swindon far beats Bristol on everything.
No.
Yes.
No.
I will die on this hill. Swindon's my favourite place.
You'll be dying alone on that hill.
I will die on Silbury Hill, I tell you.
Jeez, that's quite a claim.
Yeah, it is really, isn't it?
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
I lived in Bristol. Didn't like it. Or Newcastle upon Tyne. Oh, no.
Awful.
Paul,
awful.
hello, Paul. Paul thought you were from Bath. Not Bath.
I went to university in Bath. Yeah, so I lived there for 3.5 years while I was at university. So I spent a lot of time there. Yes. And my partner lives in Bath. Danny, who was on the stream a couple of weeks ago when he burst in and scared me. Yeah, he lives in Bath. So I do spend a lot of time there. But yeah.
Bath's lovely. Love Bath.
Beautiful.
Little factoid for Captain Quinn about Newcastle upon Tyne. Newcastle upon Tyne is the only city in the world that I ever had a gun pulled on me in a nightclub. Yeah, it was the Tuxedo Princess, which was a ship that was docked on the Tyne under the Tyne Bridge.
I thought you meant that was the person who pulled a gun on you. A Tuxedo Princess.
Yep, actually on the boat, Captain Quinn had a 9mm gun put in my face. Yeah, it kind of puts you off a place when that sort of shit happens. But
it's a bit mental.
Anyway, everybody needs to drink because we've,
digress. We digress.
It's only water, but
let me undigress. As a standalone, Metamorphosis had a glaring plot hole. If Zephram Cochrane is so famous as the founder of interstellar travel, then Kirk and company who are in that very walk of life should recognise him from his picture in the history books. The matter was resolved 29 years later with the release of First Contact. In the film, it's shown that Cochrane was a much older man when he made his pioneering flight. It can then be deduced that the companion regenerated him to an idealised, youthful version of himself, which looks nothing like any picture which Kirk's crew would have seen.
Okay. Let's look at the maths on Cochrane's age.
So just a bit of retconning, really, isn't there? That doesn't make much sense.
There's a lot of retconning over this. Paul's wife is a sand dancer. That means she's from South Shields.
Oh.
There you go. According to the maths, the year 2267 minus 150 years living with the companion, minus his age of 87 when he landed on Gamma Canaris, Zephram Cochrane will soon be born, just 9 years' time, in 2030. This means that on April the 5th, 2063, when he makes first contact, he will be 32 or 33 years old. To compare, James Cromwell was 56 years old when First Contact was filmed. The power of a name. There you go. So lots of retconning.
I can't make any sense of this. So they just fudged it then, basically.
Yep. They basically they got it wrong, and they've brushed that under the carpet. It's not the first time in Star Trek. It won't be the last.
No, as long as we just don't ask any more questions, it's fine.
Yep, we're ending the stream here because we're not to ask questions.
Kira's brain can't poke holes. I literally don't understand any of this. I'm so tired. I'm at the point of exhaustion where it's like nothing makes any sense anymore. So all that maths went in here, came right out here.
It's fine.
I'm erasing it.
That when you watch First Contact, he's either 32 or 33 years old when you're watching him.
Okay.
Suspend your disbelief.
I can do that. Have a glass of wine before I watch it.
Yeah. All I have to do is take my glasses off.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. No, I can't really see the TV without my glasses on, so
There you go. Glass of wine. so glasses off, glass in.
yeah, perfect. How Kira can get away with watching anything. There you go. Anyway, have another drink if you're drinking when we digress. Yeah, the scenes of Cochrane communicating with the companion were all shot at one time. The set was then completely redone with his house added for all of the sequences with Kirk and company. The inconsistencies between the two versions of the same set can be seen in alien trees that are near Cochrane in one view and then absent in the next. Oops.
Now, to give an illusion of open space on a confined soundstage, wide-angle lenses were used. Quite cleverly, I thought, this bit. Although Glenn Corbett, who played Zephram Cochrane, appears to be hundreds of yards away when he first runs towards the shuttle, he is, in fact, actually much, much closer. Strategically placed rocks also allow the camera to be very far away without seeing the edges of the set. So it's like if you hold up a plastic cow and say, these are very small, but those ones are far away.
Love that. In a rare effect, slowly moving clouds were blown in from hidden vents, adding a touch of reality to the usually static planet set. This was also used in the original series episode Obsession.
I love that because on those little black and white tiny sets you probably wouldn't have even noticed anyway, so that kind of attention to detail is absolutely brilliant for the time. Is this an episode? So had you seen this episode before?
Yes, I had seen this one before ages and ages ago. Like I definitely remember watching it with my dad as a kid. So you know, when it started, I was like, hang on, I know what this one is. But before watching it, I couldn't remember what it was about. So,
yeah, there's a few original series that are like that with me as well. So is this an episode you'd recommend people to watch if they were new to Star Trek?
No. I think if people are new to Star Trek, they'd want to go for something a bit more... like encountering one of the alien races that are more famous and more interesting and dynamic, whereas this one's quite almost like a bottle episode, isn't it? Where it's got nothing really to do with the main plot and it's all focused on this tiny little story. And yeah, I think you have to really love Trek to be able to watch everything. And I think once someone watches one of the more, you know, Trekky Trek episodes, like adventurous Trek, then watch this one.
Yeah I think something like First Contact probably made this a bit more popular as an original series episode because of the whole Zephram Cochrane lore thing, but as a standalone episode it's not Trek at its best.
No, I'm glad we agree.
Oh yeah totally. I mean, I'll diss most of Trek until the cows come, but I also love it, so I feel entitled to diss.
As you wish.
Excellent. Shall we talk about how warp drive works then?
Yes, let's do it.
I love the technology in Star Trek and I love the ships, and that's for me one of the big pulls of the whole thing is the technology. So warp drive, for anybody who's never watched Star Trek, is a technology that allows space travel at faster than light speeds. It works by generating warp fields to form a subspace bubble that envelop the starship. This distorts the space-time continuum and moves the starship at velocities that would greatly exceed the speed of light. And these velocities were referred to as warp factors. So basically, the subspace bubble changes the shape of space-time. It compresses it in front of the ship. So it's not that you're moving faster than light, it's that you're bringing space nearer.
Ah. Interesting. I've never heard it put that way before. That makes it make a lot more sense in my little brain. So, warp drive was the most common form of interstellar propulsion used in the Milky Way galaxy, making interstellar civilization, exploration, and commerce possible. By the 24th century, warp was the primary means of interstellar transport, but scientists from various cultures were pursuing various alternative propulsion methods that were hypothetically faster or more efficient.
Yes. Now, warp engines are fueled by the reaction of matter, in which case they use deuterium, and antimatter, and they use antideuterium, which is mediated through an assembly of dilithium crystals. Now, these are non-reactive with antimatter when subjected to high-frequency electromagnetic fields. So that's the only way that the two can be brought together safely.
This reaction produced a highly energetic plasma called electroplasma or warp plasma, which was channeled by plasma conduits through the electroplasma system, or EPS. That system also provided the primary energy supply for the ship's other electronic systems.
Yes. Now, for propulsion, the electroplasma was funneled by plasma injectors into a series of warp field coils, usually located in the warp nacelles, which are separate from the ship. These coils are composed of deuterium cortinide, and they are what actually generates the warp field. So, does that all make sense?
It makes a lot more sense than it did before. For me, anyway.
Well, it's easy just to say, oh yeah, it's warp drive, and yeah, we hear about antimatter, matter, and it, that's it. But yeah. Do you know what Captain Quinn mentioned a film that actually explains this far better than we possibly could? Event Horizon.
Oh.
So with Event Horizon, when it's Sam Neill gets the piece of paper and he folds it and is like, the shortest distance between 2 points is like straight through. If you imagine taking that piece of paper and concertinaing it, that is how warp drive works. Yeah.
Yes. I have actually watched Event Horizon. That was in the back of my mind somewhere because I've heard the concertina thing before. I must have seen that film. Yeah.
Now Event Horizon works on basically wormhole technology rather than warp drive. But it's not quite micro wormholes with warp drive, but it is just squashing space up in front of you. So you can move at normal speed, but to points quicker.
Love it.
There we go. Now, so Captain Quinn has made an interesting comment in the chat that it's sort of factual in real terms, which it is very, very factual and real, isn't it, Keira?
Yes. Yes.
Should we move on to the next bit?
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about real life warp drive now.
Oh my god, yes.
I'm so excited for this.
In the real world, during March of this year, scientists dropped a bombshell when they unveiled the first physical model for a warp drive, the holy grail of space travel that would allow us to bend the fabric of space and time to our will and overcome the vast distances separating humans from the stars.
Yes. Now, our current understanding of warp speed in real life terms goes back to 1994 when
the year I was born.
Goes back a few short years to 1994, when a now iconic theoretical physicist named Miguel Alcubierre first proposed what we have called the Alcubierre drive ever since. Now, the Alcubierre drive conforms to Einstein's theory of general relativity to achieve superliminal travel.
Essentially, an Alcubierre drive would expand a tremendous amount of energy, likely more than what's available within the universe, to contract and twist space-time in front of it and create a bubble. Inside that bubble would be an inertial reference frame where explorers would feel no proper acceleration. The rules of physics would still apply within the bubble, but the ship would be localized outside of space.
Yeah, so after studying existing research, Göttingen University, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Göttingen University's Eric Lentz realised there were specific forms of space-time bubbles that scientists had overlooked. Now, these bubbles took the shape of solitons, or compact waves, that maintain their shape while moving at constant velocity. And if you think of a single ripple on a lake moving steadily across it, but maintaining its shape. Lentz re-derived Einstein's equations for different soliton configurations until he found one that worked with conventional energy sources and without the need for any exotic matter.
Wow, that's cool. I wonder what process that was to figure that out.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not a quantum theoretical physicist.
Why not, Stu?
I know. I should have done my research this week.
Oh dear, you've done more than me. Oh, for anyone who doesn't realise, Stu is the one who always gathers all this information and puts it all together. I just read it out and look pretty on camera. Like, this is the perfect arrangement for me. I don't have to do any research apart from watch the episodes. Oh, I'm awful. I need to start pulling my weight around here, Stu. Sorry. Anyway, Lentz said in a statement, the next step is to figure out how to bring down the astronomical amount of energy needed within the range of today's technologies, such as a large modern nuclear fission power plant. Then we can talk about building the first prototypes.
So essentially they've got this on paper, they've got this, and when they talk about a working model, they don't mean a physical actual one that works. They're talking about they have modelled it using current physics understanding.
Yeah, and they have like computer programs to demonstrate these things. In fact, there are even video games that we can play ourselves now to conduct experiments in space. It's fascinating.
Yes, absolutely. So the power thing is the major issue, though, because as I understood it, if you've got a 600-foot spaceship and you want it to move faster than light, it would basically require the power of a sun. That's how much energy is required to actually activate this. But they're getting there. This is the thing, you know. I mean, back in the 60s, we talked about these warp drive. We've talked about faster than light, certainly all my life, and you know, in science fiction. But strides are being taken, and we now have a way we believe that we can do it, and that's just absolutely incredible to me.
Mm. Yeah, and it's like it's just fascinating to me how we are consciously alive at this time. We're aware of all of these things happening now, and like people in the past just had these things as like a little idea in their imaginations, and now, you know, we're potentially seeing these things become reality within our lifetimes. Absolutely.
And Captain Quinn rightly says, doesn't fission have the power of a small star? Potentially, yeah. This is, I mean, yeah. Do you know what? You couldn't be more right. This is an amazing time to be alive. Things I couldn't have imagined when I was a kid ever seeing in my lifetime. Absolutely incredible. Virtual reality. I remember as a kid, like, hearing about virtual reality. It's like, yeah, but they'll never have that in. And now I can foresee a day in my lifetime when we have holodecks.
Yeah, and you know what? I remember when the idea of 3D printers was the thing. You know, they didn't always exist, and now they do. And it's just, I remember hearing about a 3D printer and thinking, well, what would they print with a 3D printer? Could they print food? Like, what? And you actually can. You can print food with a 3D printer. What the fuck? Excuse my French, but...
No, it's what the fuck is the right response. But in a good way.
Only positive swearing today, guys. It's just mad, isn't it? You know, all the things that technology can do. I'm completely hooked on science, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Oh, totally. Well, I mean, I know we joke about kind of our difference in age and the fact that we are generationally different. But of course, in the grand scheme of things, in the history of mankind, there's sort of nothing between us. But if you think, when I was a kid, the concept on Star Trek of 3 things: doors that open automatically when you walk up to them. Never thought I would see that in my lifetime.
Oh my god, really?
Seriously.
When was the automatic door invented?
I couldn't say, but it's just something we just take so for granted now.
Oh my god!
I remember seeing that, being amazed by it on Star Trek. I remember seeing small handheld wireless communication devices. Yep, pulses, mobile phones, and being amazed and thinking, we'll never see that.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a little side digression to that, so digressing off the digression. The first mobile phone I had was basically a car phone strapped to a car battery that you carried around like a piece of luggage. But the first proper handheld mobile phone I had was the Motorola StarTAC. It was a clamshell phone. They called it the StarTAC because they wanted to call it the Star Trek phone because it was like a communicator. That was the first kind of proper mobile phone I had.
Yeah, cool. I like that.
But yeah, the third thing was lasers that are small enough and light enough to carry.
Oh.
That was incredible, because back in the 70s, a laser was something that would fill an entire room.
That I've never even would have considered that as a thing. That's mad. Yeah. These things are so mad. My mind has been blown so much. Like for me, it was, I was growing up during the era where video transitioned to DVD. And I remember thinking, how are they going to put a reel of tape on a little metal disc? Because, you know, in videos, it's like little reels of tape and you've got to rewind it every time you watch it. I was like, so I remember getting a DVD player at one point and then trying to rewind it when it got to the end. And my mum's like, you don't have to rewind it now, Keira. And I was like, oh, but that's part of the fun. What? But yeah.
Yeah. I remember having to use these to rewind tapes. Music
oh my
tapes.
God, yes, I've done that as well. Back in the day.
When you put it on and you just spin it. That's next level stuff. Captain Quinn has posted some really interesting things about the technology. In June the 19th, 1931, the Stanley Works Company installed the world's first automatic doors at Wilcox's Pier restaurant. So actually, that was much earlier than I thought was a thing. But it had a photoelectric eye. But in 1988, powered pedestrian doors, there was a document proposed to type the best practices for safe automatic door installation. because they were being installed in Asda in 1988. So I mean, okay, they existed, all right, much earlier than I imagined. But I think common, normal, everyday people, it wasn't really much of a thing.
Yeah.
But there we go. So that is the age we're living in. It's changing so rapidly.
Yeah, come back next week to see what else has been invented in.
Yeah. Transporters. Yes. Yes.
Love it.
As long as it keeps your mask on while you're in a new place.
Yes.
Oh, right. Shall we digress really well there?
Go on.
Shall we move on to the Divine Treasury? We do need Tomorrow's World back. You're absolutely right, Captain Quinn. I loved Tomorrow's World. That was a TV show back in the day, Keira.
Before my time. Clearly, I'm too young.
They would talk about like the latest technologies. They had like K9 on there one week. They had Zaphod Beeblebrox's second head when the Hitchhiker's Guide was on TV.
Ooh.
Things like that, because it was all cutting edge technology. There we
Nice.
go. Right, on to our unboxing, which we haven't done for quite a while. So this week it is, because I've had a delivery of new things, new shinies. This is the Eaglemoss USS, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Zhenghai.
No, if it's Mandarin, it would be Zhenghe.
Zhenghe. Right,
Zhenghe.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's Chinese, I can tell you.
Yeah, so Mandarin is a Chinese language.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, fair enough. So this is the part of the new Universe collection that's taken over from the old Starship collection. It's the second one, the first one being Lacerana, which I'd done on a previous one. And was released originally on the 22nd of April 2021, but when you're a subscriber and you pay for these things in advance, you have to wait several fucking months to get it, apparently. Get your shit together, Eaglemoss. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is an Inquiry class Federation starship, named for a 15th century Chinese admiral. There's quite a bit of chat about the pronunciation. Apparently John Eves, who designed it, calls it the Zhenghai, but it's the Zhenghe.
Yeah, so
Okay.
in Mandarin, the way you see it written now is not actually English. It's a form of Mandarin called pinyin, which is putting Chinese words into a Western alphabet to make it easier for us to read. But their vowels and their general like word formations have very different pronunciations to actual English. So an E in Chinese words like this is always an sound.
Zhenghe.
Zhenghe. And yeah, ZH is a hard J.
Right. Zhenghe.
Zhenghe.
Cool. Learning stuff. I love languages.
Me too. I love languages so much.
I might learn to speak one day. Now this was touted as the toughest, fastest, most powerful ship that Starfleet had ever put into service in Star Trek Picard. Spoilers, Keira. Spoilers. William Riker. Close your ears. William Riker returns from retirement to captain the USS Zhenghe into battle above the planet Coppelius. So, you're okay? Take your hands down now.
Hey, I avoided spoilers.
You need to watch Picard. And you're right, Captain Quinn, that was a massive rush job, that particular scene. And a bit of a letdown, but hey-ho. Not to worry. So, this is how much of an unboxing it is. I'm having to actually cut it open. So it's been ages since I've done an unboxing like this. Oh, in fact, before I open it, I want to mention two things that came with it. One is a nice little leaflet talking about the Star Trek Universe collection. We're obviously going to be getting the Discovery, the new Discovery with the floaty warp nacelles, some of the new ships, the USS Nog, which I'm really looking forward to, the Eisenberg class, new Voyager J. Keira, Voyager J.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, you need to watch Discovery.
I have been watching it. I promise. Sorry, I just got a mouthful of strawberry, but I am watching Discovery now. Oh, excellent. I forgot to tell everyone. I went to the shop today and I found this enormous punnet of strawberries in the reduced section for £1.50, and they are all absolutely perfect. Look, let me show you these beautiful strawberries. How are they reduced?
They are nice. They look good and ripe, which obviously they wouldn't stay that way for much longer. That would be my guess. Nice look at some of the ships coming up. I've mentioned previously about the smaller magazines that come with it. Well, they've actually included a new binder.
Oh, finally! You've only been going on about this for the last 3 months.
Yeah, I have. Now, this will contain 6 magazines, and I bet beyond the 6th one, they won't be giving them away free, and they will be like unicorn droppings to get hold of. But we shall see. We shall see. So, yes, we have a magazine, and we can actually put it in now. Nice bit of artwork there, talking about the ship itself, designing notes, alternative designs. Yeah, going for a more Discovery look originally, apparently. Okay, that's a shorter magazine than I'm used to, but nice anyway. I'm not big on the magazines, I know some people are. But here we go. Yeah, that's it's a nice old ship. The most of the saucer appears to be die-cast. I think the rest of it's all plastic. But very muted colours. And certainly
I like that though.
It is nice. Wouldn't fit in massively with most of the next generation designs, which you'd expect from Picard, but is more of a nod to Discovery and the redesigns. So yeah, very, very nice. Shuttle bay at the front, unusually. So that must be that's the deflector. That's the deflector there. Yeah, that's the shuttle bay, I think. Yeah, nice. Nice old ship, good old size. I think it's about, 9 inches, something like that. The warp nacelles are a bit plainer than I would have liked. I like a bit more colour on my warp nacelles, but hey ho. Lovely bit of Aztec, and I don't know how that's showing on the camera. Yeah, so very nice Aztecing. Very nice overall. Yes. So there we go. That's that's this week's Divine Treasury.
Love it. I love seeing your unboxing. I didn't realise until today how much I missed your unboxings. Lovely. Fantastic. Shall we go on to the news?
Yes. Let us.
So the first bit of Star Trek news we have for you this week is a Star Trek Picard novel will fill in the gap between seasons 1 and 2. And it's coming from Simon & Schuster in early 2022. I imagine this might coincide with our Chicago trip. Do you reckon?
I think it might.
The publisher's official description is this. Following the explosive event seen in Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, Raffi Musaka finds herself torn between returning to her old life as a Starfleet intelligence officer or something a little more tame, teaching at the academy. Perhaps. The intelligence officer or something... Oh, wait. The decision is made for her, though, when a message from an old contact, a Romulan spy, is received, asking for immediate aid. With the help of Cristobal Rios and Dr. Agnes Gerati and assistance from Jean-Luc Picard, Raffi decides to take on this critical mission and quickly learns that past sins never stay buried. Finding the truth will be complicated and deadly.
Excellent, excellent. Cristobal Rios, it always gets me this. He was Isaac Mendes in Heroes. It's the same actor. And he looks nothing like him. Nothing like him at all.
God, I haven't even thought about Heroes for years.
Oh, I started a rewatch a short while ago to show it to Catherine. But struggling. I mean, obviously the first season's brilliant. The second is what we're struggling through, and I've got them all. I've never gotten through the second season even. We'll get there. We will get there.
We'll get there.
Drink, everyone.
Go. This is a great way to stay hydrated, isn't it?
It is, until we change it for vodka, which is a diuretic.
Oh, this is vodka.
That would be it then. Drink again. Right. So, one for me here. A 4K director's edition of the motion picture is coming out. Now, the 1979 film Star Trek The Motion Picture is, of course, beloved by almost all fans. It's really not. But it's beloved by me, at least. Some, including me, consider it the most cinematic of the original series movies. However, it was very, very... Ed's laughing. Stop laughing. I love the motion picture. It was, however, famously rushed into theatres, leaving director Robert Wise with a list of things he wanted to do left undone. But in 2001, he had the chance to create the director's edition on DVD, which Wise considered his final cut and included new visual effects. So they are restoring it. The restoration is expected to take 6 to 8 months and is being done by the same team that worked on the DVD with Wise, who sadly passed away in 2005. This restored version is going to debut first on Paramount Plus, of course, in America, because we don't exist here in the UK, and will likely... That sounded really bitter, didn't it?
Yeah, but I agree with you. They get so much that we don't get.
Yeah. If they had a Paramount Plus version, UK version, a bit like Fox do, and they're owned by Disney, so, don't subscribe. But, if they had that version of it, I'd be right up there. Anyway, so this is going to be first of all on Paramount Plus, and will be released at a later date on Blu-ray, possibly other streaming services as well, following this exclusive window on Paramount Plus. We've had Captain Quinn is there. Graphically, it is the best film. Bit too much use of the split diopter for my taste. That's the only criticism I will ever make of the motion picture, other than the writing and some of the performances.
Oh dear. More news. Anson Mount sent a tweet to old school fans. Wednesday morning, the tweet revealed production on finale begins. Quote, last episode of season 1 starts shooting today. Old school fans are going to be very excited to see what we're trying to pull off with this one. Getting to do so many things I've never attempted as an actor. So much fun.
So looking forward to Strange New Worlds.
I'm excited for it too. I love Anson Mount. I think he's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for me, but Rebecca Romaine.
Oh, you said it right. Well done.
I've been practicing.
I can imagine you before we came on Zoom looking in the mirror going, Romaine.
Yeah, Captain Quinn says, hope Strange New World is on Netflix. So do I, but if it's on Amazon Prime, I might not be a fan of Amazon as a company, but yeah, I subscribe to them as well, so that will do for me. And Captain Quinn also says I could get one of those thingy bobs that lets you seem like you're in the United States. That's getting a bit close to sort of pirating and stuff for me, and I'm not a we were having this discussion off air, weren't we?
I think VPNs are fine, really. You're still paying for the service, you're just tricking it into thinking you're in a different location. The only reason it's not on every area of the platform is because of licensing and stuff like that. So as long as you're paying to stream it, who cares if it thinks you're in a different location?
I do see that, but the licensing is part of the payment process for it. So, yeah.
I have far fewer morals than Stu has, everybody.
It's different moral. It's not a question of right or wrong. It's just different. It's not amounts either. Anyway, we've had another drop from an actor this week as well. John Delancey, who drops a lot of stuff over Cameo. A lot of spoilers from him, from Cameo. Are you familiar with Cameo, Keira?
Yeah, it's the service you can use you pay actors and they send you videos and stuff. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly it. I've thought about putting myself on there as Father Christmas all year round, but it would mean I'd have to lose the beard all year round. So that's why I haven't as yet. But there we go. But yes, John Delancey's been on Cameo again, and this time he's given a bit of a quote that maybe this might be Q's final visit to the Trekverse. He said, and I quote, "You are going to be seeing me soon on Picard. I come back, not in a walker, but close to it." He's talking about his age thing there. It's my final carryings on with Jean-Luc Picard. Final? There we go. We shall see. Really looking forward to Picard season 2 though as well.
Yeah, you know what? I am going to crack on with the first season of Discovery, and then I think I'm going to do season 1 of Picard, and then I'll switch back to Discovery. I think I like to complete a season at least before I start something new.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'll get on. Let me do it quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Captain Quinn says, quickly.
Oh dear. Well, that's all we have for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and do join us next time. So you will see our deep dive on romance in Star Trek, which is my favourite subject.
Yes. Well, in light of that, we are going to be doing our first review of a Lower Decks episode.
Exciting!
Very exciting. We're going to be, and look, when you've watched Discovery and Picard, we can start doing reviews of them as well.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's more motivating.
Excellent. We're going to be discussing the Lower Decks episode Cupid's Errant Arrow.
And we'll also be paying another visit to the Divine Treasury, and assuming all goes well, I will have some more Kira's cosplay for you too.
Ooh, looking forward to that. And of course, we'll be bringing you the very latest news from the Trekverse.
Woo! So until next week, peace and long life.
And live long and prosper.
Bye.
Bye.